Hi, actors. Here is my interview with Rough Day in Showbiz. Please listen all the way through to hear some funny stories about rough days as an actor and hopefully take away a couple thoughts on how to get through your next rough day. Enjoy.
Welcome back to Rough Day in Showbiz. We have a fantastic show today. I have a spectacular guest. Here she is. Her name is Kari Nissena. She is an actress, producer, and biz coach for actors. Carrie Necena is an award-winning actress. She has performed extensively on both the stage and screen. With hundreds of acting credits to her name, she has acted in film, television, theater, radio, commercials, voiceover, and more. On the producing side of things, she has produced dozens of films, webisodes, and other projects and events in the entertainment industry. A sought-after expert, speaker, business coach for actors, and creator of actor transformation, Kari Nissena has coached thousands of actors on marketing, IMDb, how to improve their online presence, and much more. Oh my, what a guest. So here she is, Kari Nissena. Woo!
What an intro! Woo!
Gotta get an intro.
Yay, I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. And I know that you have so much experience and it seems like you've had a lot of show time in showbiz. So I know that you have a lot of stories.
Yeah, yes. A lot of showbiz and a lot of rough days in showbiz.
Woo! Yes.
And a lot of wonderful days in showbiz. Yay.
Good too. Yes, of course. You can't have the rough without the wonderful. The wonderful is just as important as the rough. Indeed.
I love that you have this podcast because so many people are new to the business and they think it's all going to be sunshine and rainbows on, when they move to LA or New York or wherever.
Yes,
and
that
they
was
think
me.
It's going to be like, that was you.
Circa 2009.
Yeah, because it looks like it's just going to be making lots of money and being on red carpets. And isn't that fun?
Isn't that fun?
It really, when you start to understand what showbiz is about and really understand the business and the day-to-day, it becomes a whole different beast. That's for sure.
Very much so. Very much so. It's like, slam doors in your face. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's another podcast called 10,000 No's. And I think that's about right. You have to just really keep banging on doors. That's quite literally the strategy. Keep banging on doors.
I'm a big believer in getting many, many, many no's. Because if you're not getting any no's, then you're really not out there. You're not trying.
Yeah, I totally feel that. Yeah. You gotta be in it to win it, baby.
Yeah. So true.
So do you have what's like a first story? What's like a kind of a light story we could tell?
Yeah, I was thinking about rough days in showbiz. So one day that I had that I think was exceptionally stressful, I don't know how rough it was, but it was stressful for sure, is a long time ago. I was working at my day job at that time. And that day they kept on talking about how they were supposed to have this really important meeting that they were going to have. And everybody had to be there. And it was crucial to the business and all this thing. They were building it up.
Oh, boy.
So, of course, that day I get a call from a casting director I knew. And she says, Kari, we left messages for your agent, but they haven't gotten back to us. We wanted to call you in for an audition. Can you get in here fast?
Isn't that what happens?
Of course, you want to have a heart attack, right?
Right.
So we were pretty close to going into this so-called important meeting. And I had to tell them, I'm like, sorry, I got to bail. I have to leave work and go to this last minute audition. I had zero time to get there. They were like, could you be here in 15, 20 minutes? And luckily I was LA, not many things are only 15 or 20 minutes away.
Yeah,
but
I was going to say, you must have been were you within walking distance?
Both locations were in the valley, luckily.
Right.
So,
oh, wow.
So I was like, sorry, guys. And of course, I get dirty looks and everything. And I'm like, I have to do this. I knew it wasn't something that I could put off till after the meeting or whatever. So needless to say, they weren't pleased, but I had a feeling that the audition was an important one and I had to get there really fast. So I rushed like a maniac, printed the sides, grabbed my headshot, which of course I had with me at work, and jumped in the car, rush like a maniac.
Right, of course.
And when I show up, they had already moved on from my character's auditions, and there were a bunch of guys in the lobby. So it was just me and a bunch of men. And so they've obviously were not auditioning for the same role, right?
Right.
So they come out and they're like, oh, yay, you got here. And they brought me in right away because all the women who auditioned for my role had already read.
Yeah.
And you could tell that they were kind of rooting for me and that it seemed like they hadn't found what they were looking for yet. That's why they wanted me to be there. So I was like, okay, this is good energy going on. So they seem to like my read. I'm like, thank you so much. And I leave. I go back to work. Of course, they're already done with the meeting. Right. And I start asking around. I'm like, okay, so what happened in the meeting? And it wasn't even important, nobody knew what happened in the meeting. Right. And they're like,
we don't know. We blacked out. We blacked out the whole time. We really have no idea.
Totally. And I'm like, really, this is what the guilt trip, you had to.
Oh, so they were like, oh, you should have been there. It was super important.
Yeah. It was.
Oh, wow.
But it really wasn't, of course, at the end of the day.
Right.
So turns out, happy ending, I booked the job.
Yay!
Yay. And I was on a sitcom that week, so wow. It was like all that stress and inner turmoil and panic for that time was, I just had to put it to the side and just run and get the job done, basically. So it was a super stressful, I guess you could call it a rough day in showbiz, actually turning into a great result, into a great, which I think is an important story because sometimes we don't know. We really don't know. In this case, I was like, oh my God, are they going to really be super mad at me? I'm like, what's going on? I didn't know that it was the right decision at the time, but I had to go, of course. Oh, listen to this. This is interesting. So also that day they said, like I said, they said, hey, they contacted my agent and the agent hadn't gotten back to them. Well, I then got a message from my agent at that time. And she said, Carrie, they just contacted us. I don't know if you can still get there. So they were basically not telling me the full truth. Okay. What happened is my agent hadn't gotten through all their messages for that day. The casting director left them a message. And because they were slow or whatever, they didn't get it in time. But thank God I had my cell phone on my resume. So the casting director just said, okay, let's contact her directly.
Ooh.
Which is something I teach my students. I'm like, look, I know that agents and managers they always tell you to take your own information off your resume, right?
Yeah.
But the reason for that is because they want you to, first of all, go through them. They want to make sure they get their commission, which is, of course, they should get their commission. But it's also for newer actors, they want to make sure the newer actor doesn't kind of mess up the situation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's also you need to have a backup, because let's say you give a resume to a casting director and they don't call you, and they call you 5 years later. Well, they might call that old agent that was 3 agents ago, and that agent doesn't even remember you at that point. Or maybe they try to pitch a different actor for that role because because they're no longer representing you. So there's so many reasons to make sure that you can be found away from your representation as a backup. It doesn't mean you don't go through your agent. It just means that in a situation like this, I would not have booked this job if I didn't know better and didn't have a way for them to contact me directly.
Wow, that's a good tip. That's a great tip.
So important. And when I think of how close I came to losing that job.
Oh yeah. But if you hadn't had, that's crazy. If you didn't have your direct contact on there, boy, it's just crazy that that's what it comes down to. Just literally just having that up there or not. It's everything is just so on a thread all the time.
Totally. And it moves too fast too. Yeah. So you have to be reachable. And if you have like, let's say they really do insist on their copies of the resume that they need your info off, that makes sense. If they still work with hard copy resumes, which most people don't these days, but let's say you have to hand them a few when you sign with an agent, well, at least have your website on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. You know? Something. Yeah. Wow.
No agent in the right mind would not want you to have your website on your resume, So there are ways around it. But anyway, I think it's a good story because it was so stressful and it turned out to be a happy ending,
Totally. Yeah. Oh my God. That is super stressful. It's funny because I have a friend who actually arrived late to an audition, and he was like 2 hours late, really late, and he ended up booking it. Like they reluctantly let him in, and he ended up booking it. So yeah, you never know. Like even if you miss your audition time, or in this case, it was super last minute. Like you really never know. They might be looking for just you. They were looking for just Carrie. And
they were. And sometimes it's your time. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's okay, that role is supposed to be mine. And sometimes it's not. And that's okay too. But you have to be ready for when it is your time and when that role is meant to be yours. You have to be able to be found.
Yeah. And that's such an incredible tip. What a story though. I can't believe that.
Yeah. So moral of the story, boys and girls, make sure you can be found.
Make sure you can be found.
That goes for your links online too, because so many times I'll go to an actor's website and their links have been dead for like 5 years, or they go to the wrong place.
It's just like GoDaddy.com. This site is not found. Yeah, same. Yeah. And that's a bummer, isn't it? When you click somebody's link and that happens, you're like, oh no.
Or maybe they just put the handle. You notice that? Like sometimes people just put their handles now, but their handle is still not clickable.
Like if social media?
Yeah. If it's written somewhere that it's not a clickable link, then all you're telling them is go see me at, I'm on Twitter. Go check out Carrie Necena.
Yeah, you have to like find them. Yeah. And you're like, oh man, I don't know.
Don't make anybody work to help you.
Yeah, like would that casting director have done it? Like typed it in and stuff, and like DM'd you on Instagram? Probably not.
Well, this was way before Instagram, but
way before, but still, yeah. Like I mean, even now, right?
Totally. Like, so make it easy for people to help.
I love it. That's a terrific tip.
By the way, you guys, when you have a survival job, you're there at that job to support your dream. Whether you're an actor or a producer or director or whatever, the reason you're at the survival job in the first place is to support your dream.
Right.
Right. And sometimes that's easy to kind of forget when you get into the day-to-day of whatever it is. Whatever
big time.
Yeah. Like so many actors wait tables, and it's really hard to not be like so into your shift, because you have to be a good waiter or bartender or whatever you do, but you still need to be able to hear if your agent calls you,
Yeah. And
have your cell phone on you and all that.
Yeah. I remember one time, I have a bit of a rough day in showbiz where I was at my day job, and which I'm no longer at, because of this really. And I got an audition for like, doing 2 hours, one of those crazy things. It was a voiceover audition. And I ended up running into the back when I got a free second and putting my head inside of a locker with my phone and recording it like that, because there was literally nowhere to go. Like the bathroom was too echoey. Like it's literally just this back space that goes like an L. So the only choice I had was for like a quiet place to record, was just putting my head in a locker and like doing the voice. And then the manager going, "Hey, where are you? We need you out here." And okay, yeah. And then I would like, and then eventually I got like a good 2 takes from doing that several times, but it was ridiculous. So yeah, it sucks, and it's easy to get carried away in a day job. Certainly the day-to-day of a day job. That's like, I don't know.
It needs to support your career. It really does. And more than just financially. So unless you're on a survival job that like pays, $100,000 or something, then you can do that for a year or 2 and then take off for 5 years.
That really has to be like that. Yeah. It's a means to an end, a day job. It's a means to an end. It's not,
right.
It's hard because the way that these companies work now is that they basically make a cult. They make it a cult. Like you get emotionally involved, you get, you get obviously financially involved. Like, it's just day to day you're doing it. And it kind of brainwashes you, I think. Like it just, you just become like, this is what you care about because you want to keep your job, but it really shouldn't be like that.
But do you really want to keep your job?
No, that's the thing. It's crazy.
I know.
You think wait a minute. One day you wake up and go, this is not what I do. Like, what am I doing?
Yes.
I don't scoop ice cream for my life.
Yes. It's so true, but it's hard you got to keep your eye on the ball because it's like, otherwise you could be at the same bad survival job for many years. Yeah. And it's not like it's even making you good money is the thing. So it has to be, at least it supports your dream. Like it helps progress your dream. Like I always say, actors should try to get a survival job in the industry, especially if you're in LA or New York, there's so much work that is based upon the industry. And even if it's not acting and you're an actor, it's still, if you're the best waiter in the world, at least go wait tables at a place that is at a studio lot, on a studio lot, or at a really expensive, fancy place where all the stars go, then at least maybe you're making some connections. Or if you're not a good waiter, like if you're a horrible waiter, like I was, you could use your brain in different ways and, have a job that is at a production company or has something to do with acting or a theater company or something. Because there's plenty if you're in a big market. And if not, let's say you're in a small market, then go and create your own job.
Yes.
Work for yourself. That's the key, man, to life. Work for yourself. Don't spend all your energy making somebody else rich.
Yes.
Right?
So on that note, what's your next rough day in showbiz?
Oh, I thought of one that was, it's actually not mine, it's someone else's, but it's so good.
Yes, perfect.
When I was working at a place that was sort of adjacent to a casting facility, I came out one time and an actress that I knew, I was kind of friendly with, was there for an audition and came up to me and she started complaining about the receptionist. And apparently the actress and the receptionist were not getting along so great. So I don't remember what the issue was, but I'm always a good mediator and I'm always the voice of reason when two sides disagree. So I come around the corner to see who's she talking about. And I had to tell her, I'm like, sorry to tell you this, but that's actually one of the casting directors. And so the casting person was just sitting at the front and she was thinking, she was pulling some kind of ego on what she thought was the receptionist, and it was the person that she was there to audition for.
Oh.
Okay. Good lesson, right? So that was one of her roughest days, I'm sure. But you could see the blood drain out of her face. Mm-hmm. So the moral of the story is, my God, people, be nice to everyone. I mean, be nice to everyone anyway, because it's the right thing to do. But be nice because you never know who's who and who's what and who's going to be something, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. People remember, be
People
nice to
remember.
everybody. And even if they're not the casting director, like you never
doesn't
know
matter.
this
Be
person.
nice. Yeah.
I still remember, I say all the time, I still remember the people who were dicks to me when I was a younger man working ensemble in theater productions. And I'll be like, okay, I'll remember you. I'll remember you. Just wait.
And all of a sudden, when you get famous, they'll say that you were best friends. Right.
Right. Oh my God, I worked with them. No, you didn't. That, you know, I had a story like that. I wasn't, was that office in Santa Monica, by the way?
No.
Okay. Cause or maybe it wasn't Santa Monica, but, I had a story like that kind of where I went in to audition for a fast food commercial, and they have the breakdown and stuff outside the door, and they give you like, they had papers of like the dialogue, and they showed a picture of the product on this paper that kind of shows you what you're going to be doing in the commercial. And I remember reading it, and I think I had asked the receptionist something, and I remember I started just shitting on this fast food thing, because I was like, this is the most disgusting thing. And the receptionist agreed with me. She was like, I know, right? It's horrible. Like, why would they? And I was like, yeah, what? Ew. Like, who would eat this? This is the most putrid thing I've ever seen in my life. And I didn't end up getting that. And I wonder, if maybe it was that kind of situation. Like maybe the casting director was out and kind of spying, or just kind of being a fly on the wall to see who really means it in the room.
That's
it may
so
have been
true.
Yeah. And I never did that again, because I was like, oh, well, that wasn't good for him. Like that person easily could have just went, hey, he's a fraud. Like he doesn't, like he was just totally trashing this product. Like we can't hire him. So yeah, I can't, learn never to do that again. So
well, lesson learned, right?
Lesson learned, indeed, lesson learned. And it was a subconscious lesson. It was an indirect lesson, but
yeah, totally. And by the way, if you're selling a food item, then it's the best food item you've ever tasted.
Right. So good. Looks so good. Oh my God.
Yeah, that's why they're hiring you, right?
Yes.
It's so funny. I love that story.
I remember what it was. I'm not going to say what it was. I'm not going to say what, because it'll totally give it away. It was the whole idea was that the bread of the sandwich was made out of another food, and it was horrifying. And it's like, I know that if you picked it up, it would be like, well, my hands are directly touching the food now. So it's like, you can't eat that in the car, because I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to get into it, but yeah, it was disgusting. I was like, I don't know who would eat this. It just sounds, I don't know why anybody would eat it, but yeah, shouldn't have opened my big mouth. But anyway, how about that next rough day in showbiz story? On top of my rough day in showbiz.
Well, there was one time where I was this was just a story of, boy, I was so sick when I was on set one day. And we were doing a film, and I was just deathly ill. And I was coughing and sneezing and throwing up right in between takes.
What?
And seriously, it was horrible. It was horrible. And there was nothing I could do about being sick, but I didn't want to cancel on them at the production at the last minute, because, and we were filming it in someone's home. So I was curled up in a ball on their couch while they were setting up the next shots. And then, try to just rest for like 20 seconds in between takes. And the hardest part about that one was that it was also a role where I was supposed to look relatively okay,
Damn.
So it's not like, it would have been great if I could have been like a ogre or something,
Yeah.
But I had to look kind of pretty, and that was not easy to do when you're sick. So, but the lesson learned with that is that actually the show must go on, right?
Yeah.
And there were dozens of people who were counting on me, and it was crazy. I think it's interesting because it was crazy how I can control my brain and my body for like 60 seconds just to get the shot. you know? And then basically they yell cut and I throw up, or they yell cut and I basically go and sit down and like breathe heavy, you know, because I was trying to get my strength up, you know. But the mind is so powerful, and the mind has so much control over the body too. So I still remember that, because it was so interesting how it would have been any normal person would have just called in sick and said, I'm sorry, I can't do the job. But I didn't want to do that. And so being able to say, okay, I'm sick. Now reapply my lipstick and makeup and action, and try to do a perfect take and then cut and then go and be sick again. I was like, wow, it's amazing what the brain can do, you know?
Yeah, it is. Oh, that is tough. That is honestly, I would say probably every actor's worst nightmare. Certainly for me. Yeah. Just having food poisoning or whatever. And then having to, honestly, you're a trooper. I don't think I'd be able to do that. I think I would probably have to cancel. Like, I don't know how you got out of bed. I mean,
it was weird. It was a weird one-time situation in my actor life, but I remember it obviously very distinctly, because I was like, what is going on here? You know?
Yeah.
But made it through, and I was glad I did. So,
wow.
So the moral of the story, sometimes the show must go on no matter what. Yeah. And you're going to have rough days. I think that's why I love this topic that you have, because you're guaranteed, you know, you're guaranteed to have days that make you feel not so good in acting and in the business and show business in general, because it's a really tough career.
Yeah.
But that's a given. And if you know it's going to happen and you have some kind of plan for it and mindset is correct, then it doesn't beat you up so much. You know, there's no reason to live hating your life as an actor just because you're not rich and famous, you know, where a lot of actors, because they're disappointed in where they are, they haven't found peace with the enjoyment of the journey.
Yeah.
You know, but so you really want to build up your why on why do you love acting in the first place, is, you know, and make that be so huge that when you have a flat tire on the way to the audition, or when you meet a person who's not so nice to you, screw it. You know, none of that really matters. What matters is the goal, the dream, the why. That's what matters, you know?
I also love that.
And I say schedule something fun or rewarding after your auditions, because so many actors beat themselves up at auditions, you know? Yeah. It's like, okay, so plan something right after your auditions that you can do to, if you have time, meet up with a friend or something, or have your acting class that night so you can get it out of your head and move on with your life, because the audition is over. So unless it's a good story, you need to let it go most of the time, 99% of the time, you know?
That's why it's good to make your own content, have podcasts called Rough Day in Showbiz, where you can focus on them, and maybe you have to wake up early to do them. And whatever audition you had yesterday, you just really have to forget about. You just naturally go, I don't remember what that was, because it doesn't matter right now, because I've got other stuff going on, baby.
And I love your podcast because, you know, for many reasons, but I think it's important for people to just know, guess what? You're not alone. We all have bad days. And it's actually built into this business because it's so emotional, you know?
The secret thing is that every day in entertainment is a rough day in showbiz, maybe.
And and then you turn it into a great day, because, you know, the worst day as an actor is still somebody else's dream day.
That's what they say. That's true.
It's so true. And even if you have a horrible audition, you beat out like 1 million people just to get in that room in the first place.
Yeah.
build up your support, listen to podcasts like this, and listen to, be in an acting class that makes you happy, not miserable, and
Yes.
work with a coach so you have support on just not only the mental stuff, but that you're staying in action, like you said. Because when you're busy, I noticed that the people that tend to carry it with them the most are the people that don't have a lot going on.
Yeah.
Right. So make sure that you have a lot going on to move your career forward. That you're working every day on your career, not just calling yourself an actor and then maybe doing it a couple times a month. Right.
Yeah. That's what you have to be.
Important.
You have to be kind of LA. You do. Like, you have to be. I have so much going on. I'm doing so much and it's obnoxious, but you know what? It works. That's why people do that in LA. So they don't have to, they're always busy and occupied, and, you don't have to be
it's so LA.
Yeah. You don't have to be dwelling on the past, baby. You're moving forward. It's so LA.
Yeah. But it's kind of the only option, because what's the alternative to not move forward?
Right. Yeah. And just kind of be like, oh, I didn't get that one. No.
Woe is me. The world is against me. Who cares? It's a stupid audition. Nobody cares.
Yes.
It doesn't mean anything. It's like it wasn't meant to be yours. Just like all those that you did book, guess what? Somebody else didn't. That one was meant to be yours. So you move on and plan and create, like you said, create your own stuff too. So important, man.
The most important. This has been great. Wonderful tips, excellent stories. What do you have coming up in terms of projects, coaching, and stuff like that?
Lots of stuff, as always.
Yes.
Very LA.
Very LA.
Yeah. So, I mean, on the acting side, I have a project, a feature coming up that I don't think I'm allowed to talk about it yet, but it's, I'm really looking forward to it. And I am the one you go to when you need someone who has a wide age range.
Good.
Because apparently my face can look young sometimes and can look really old sometimes. So I've played roles before that I had like a 30-year age difference, and this role coming up is a similar like 30-year age difference with flashbacks and stuff.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then always helping actors with the business side of the biz. I have a couple actors that I coach on their auditions, but that's not really what I do. I like to focus on the business side because I feel like there's so many good acting teachers out there, but most actors are completely lost when it comes to the business side of the business and marketing, press, and things like IMDb, and getting themselves known by the people that need to know who they are. And that's really hard to do. I like helping people with the stuff that they can't get help with anywhere else. So that's kind of my specialty. So I do classes, I do programs, and mostly I do a lot of privates as well, because it's very personalized. So it depends on the individual person and what they need. But and on the producing side, I also have produced, I guess you could call it producing, a YouTube channel with some training videos, and that's going to be expanding too. So everybody's welcome to get some free training there as well.
I've seen the YouTube channel and it's awesome. I just saw the recent post about the music for actors. It was very soothing. And you've got podcast interviews on there and tips, and it's a great channel. It's an awesome channel.
And I feel like it's a baby channel. I feel like it's going to be growing and getting a lot bigger too. So
I guess it's whatever 1,000 people. You have like 1,000 some subscribers. I think it's pretty good. But I'd say the information on it rivals any bigger source that I've seen. Maybe even better. So
good. Thank you. So come on down if you if you want to be a part of the party, everyone.
Yes. Visit Kari's YouTube channel. And how can people find you on social media?
You know what? I think the simplest way, since we're audio here, is go to actortransformation.com. And there's a free gift on the website, right on the homepage, that puts you in my actor group for free. You know, you're in my world at that point. And then there's a tab that says links, and that leads you to everything else. It leads you to the channel, the Instagram, the 2 Twitter pages, the Facebook, everywhere else that we are.
Yes. Okay, so Carrie Necena, you guys go to her YouTube channel, go to Actor Transformation. She's the best. This episode has been fantastic. You're awesome. This was the 3 stories we got. In fact, you brought back a lot of memories for me that I totally forgot about, that were awesome, that were crazy rough days. That it's just, I love it.
I'm glad it helped you with bad memories.
It did, but it's so good to be like, wow, actually things are a lot better now. Like, I'm not having to record auditions in a locker. Like that's ideal.
Yay!
Seriously, no, you've been great. And I'm so glad that we were able to connect, and this was a super fun episode. Thank you. Thank you for being on, Carrie.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, Justin.
Carrie Necena! Woo! Yes!
Hey, Transformers. Hope you liked that video. Please subscribe to our Actor Transformation YouTube channel for more goodies. And here are 2 more videos that I hope you will enjoy. Break legs.